Jonathan Wood, a qualified chartered accountant, shares his exceptional story on how his constant search for doing something meaningful outside of the typical 9-to-5 job made him leave big corporate careers with fancy designations. Finding his area of interest was not easy, but he did not quit. As he moved within different industries under many challenges, life circumstances unfolded a new chapter for him when he got an opportunity in a fast-growing company in Dubai to handle multiple roles from business operations to marketing to finance. He was able to learn the ins and outs of running a business, which is just what he wanted. Here's his story.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Wood, originate from Port Elizabeth, South Africa, and have lived in Johannesburg, South Africa for the last 10 years and moved to Dubai 9 months ago. I'm a qualified chartered accountant and haven't stuck to one specific industry. I've got diversified experience through finance, operations, IT and even sales. So that's me. My decision to become a chartered accountant started at a very young age. My dad's business was not doing so well. He was in textile manufacturing and there was an influx of cheaper Chinese goods into the market. And I think the lack of understanding of how to be competitive also stemmed from a lack of understanding of the finances of the business and how not to over leverage yourself. So it was both the competitive nature of entrepreneurship as well as the back-end understanding of finances. At a young age, I figured this out. Not quite sure how, but somehow 1 + 1 = 2, and I decided at that stage that if I wanted to be an entrepreneur, or even if I wanted to be in business, that a really good grounding would be finance. I actually applied to one of our bigger universities in South Africa called the University of Cape Town, or UCT, and I got 4 rejection letters in the same envelope. I don't know why they printed 4, but then obviously you're thinking, oh wow, can I actually study this? What was the University of Port Elizabeth is now the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, so NNMU. I studied there for 4 years, and then I failed my honours year and then studied for a 5th year. So I repeated honours. I wouldn't say I fell off the wagon, but the step up was unexpected. For me, auditing was the boring part. You've got boxes to check, it's a checklist. When something doesn't work on the checklist, then you've got to go and figure out why, ask the questions and investigate a little bit here and there. I think the one trick that if I could go back, one of the only changes that I would make is not how I pushed the boundaries, not how my personality was too overt for auditing, because that would be changing myself, but actually using the experience to better gain a more well-rounded knowledge of what I could achieve post-articles. One of my really good friends, Nick, actually approached me with the opportunity to travel. I basically sold everything I owned. I cashed in all my unit trusts and I had 2 bags left. I got one in South Africa and I put the other on my back, and we traveled Southeast Asia for 3.5 months. And I think the 3.5 months of just no pressure, life just happening. You didn't have to be anywhere tomorrow. You didn't have to do anything tomorrow. That really was almost refreshing for me. On the back of that, I actually came to Dubai for 6 weeks, and me and my friend Nico, who had joined us for the last leg of our Thailand adventure, or Southeast Asian adventure, had come with me, and we literally walked Business Bay and DIFC, dropping our CV off at any company that would let us in. I got offered a job, but the salary on offer was equivalent to what I could earn back in South Africa, even after tax, which made no sense to me. So I said no, threw the job offer back, and I went back to South Africa. I traveled around SA for about a month after that, just basically couch surfing with friends. Post that, I went for a couple of interviews and lucked out in finding a job with Rothschild, Mergers and Acquisitions Investment Bank. I lasted 2 months, and when I used to leave at 6:30 p.m. And get told that it was a half day, I knew that this was not me. I really wanted to shift into something more entrepreneurial and see if I could use my newly acquired finance skills in a real life scenario. They're not something that was pre-ingrained, structured corporate. I had a friend from Port Elizabeth back home who had brought in a shoe brand into South Africa. Now I'm already now on job number 3 post articles, and everybody, I'm sure everybody's thinking it now as well in terms of who's watching this video, and even people that are in CA. Well, you can't jump around that much. What's your CV going to look like? What are you going to tell people? You're going to look like you flaky and non-committal and that sort of thing. But how do you know what it's like to work for an investment bank if you don't do it? How do you know what it's like to work for, do a VAT and tax audit as a consultant if you don't do it? How do you know what it's like to work with friends that run their own business to try and get something off the ground? Yes, it was already off the ground, but try and make it bigger and better and grow it and get into a quasi-entrepreneurial venture. How do you do all of that without actually living it? You have to move around. If you're in a job that you don't like, why is your CV not immediately back on the market? Why aren't you consistently trying to either do something on your own, leveraging your personal networks, or looking out for something different? It's because we're lazy. So I had the benefits of knowing, so I moved to a company called Cafe Rider Custom in Dubai. It's once again a jump from industry to industry, but we've got 3 business units. There's a roastery. The second business is machines. And then the last business unit is lifestyle. So it's an exceptionally diversified brand business. I was lucky enough to have access to the business prior to joining, once again leveraging networks, and this is why I say business is not about what you know, it's about who you know. I got told when I joined Cafe Rider that I didn't have a passion for coffee or motorbikes, and I was like, yes, I don't, but I've got a passion for business and making it work. I've got a passion for operations, I've got a passion for making things grow and better. So use that, and if someone's got a passion for boxing and they want to start a boxing gym, I can tell you right now, 3 months down the line, the boxing gym probably won't be doing that well financially. So marry to somebody where you can lend your skill set to their skill set, and life happens better in a team. If you're marrying your skill set to somebody else's, your passion to somebody else's, and making a business. You mentioned earlier about doing business with friends, and the fact that you shouldn't. If you get into a business with friends and you don't have that sit-down conversation up front and saying, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, you might leave here crying one day a week, but when we close the office door, we're friends again. When we open the office door, we leave our emotions at the door. Business doesn't have emotion, and you can't worry about hurting feelings, because tomorrow when you don't close that deal, and it's the first big deal in the business, and it'll kick you off because you're too scared to hurt John Doe's feelings, then you shouldn't be in business. So think about long and hard about, first of all, understand yourself, and second of all, there's no easy answer to life. Don't get caught up in the hoorah and the motivational stuff, because it's sometimes a lot of work to move companies and move countries. Well, countries is a lot of work. I was lucky enough, I packed my bag and got on a plane and left. It was somewhat easy for me, but the hard work came in the 6 months before. Leverage your personal networks, leverage your business networks, create them. Don't be scared to open your mouth. If you say you don't want to be a financial manager, and 5 years down the line you look down and you're still a financial manager, that's your fault. It's no one else's. Life's not going to change unless you change it.